Hello? Can you hear me now? Oh, there you are. Are you the guest?
No. We can't hear them.
We can't hear them.
No.
Technical difficulty.
I guess. And Mike did it yesterday, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Going old school.
I sent a chat message. They know we can't hear them.
Where are you, Jory?
I'm home.
Okay. So, yeah. So
No Montreal for me.
it works for you. So I don't know why it wouldn't work for them.
Well, I don't know. But my guess is they're going to come back using Mike's computer.
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
Ash always has some computer debacle.
Got it. Okay.
Hello. Should hear us.
Oh,
we can hear you.
That's better.
All right,
That's
now
better.
you can talk and say hi.
Is Ryan, are you the guest? Are you our
No,
guest?
not a chance.
Come on, man.
Not a chance.
Come on.
No, I'm not prepared. No.
What do you mean you're not prepared? You know what?
I don't know anything about anything right now.
90% of life. Just show up.
All I know is I was out till 1:45 last night in the morning. So,
So it was an early night.
It was an early night.
That'll put a hurt on you.
Yeah.
I kept it even.
That takes 24 hours to recover from.
Yeah, exactly. So don't ask me any complex questions right now. Okay?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. Wish you were here, man.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not. Well, let's see you in Phoenix in the fall. Okay.
Okay.
Good deal.
Oh, I see why you're doing damage control this morning.
Yeah.
I did that 2 days ago. I know that goes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Hey, Matt.
Okay. Hey, Buzz. How's it going?
Matt, your booth is right down here, man. Gasho,
Oh, yeah?
I can see Gasho right now.
You're over there, and God, it looks
I thought Ryan Miller would have been a great
You guys
guest.
are like
We
way
could've
low
just
on the
hammered
screen.
him. Talked about the old days.
Should
Who'd you talk to?
Should I grab Gasho and have him as a guest?
If you want.
You know what? You need a guest. What do you want?
Are we ready?
How about
We
Ryan?
live?
I'm not ready at all, man.
Ryan's.
I'm like a speed bump.
I've got a few things to talk about here. I've kind of highlighted.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
to go over.
we're here to learn from you today, Ash, because you got your boots on the ground.
All right. Well, it looks like we're live. There's a couple people streaming in.
Great.
I don't know if hopefully Ryan sent out the push. Don't know if he did or not.
I see it. It's out. I see it.
Okay. Cool. Joyce and
Take
Ryan
it.
sent the push. We're good. But there's like 800 people in lunch right now. I think some of those people are watching it, but good feedback on the show from everybody here that watches it every week.
Oh, cool.
I thought.
Great.
So yeah, this is this
People
week in
watch
lumber.
our show?
Yeah, they do. This Week in Lumber with Matt Beamer from Hampton Lumber Sales, Greg Riley from Sitka USA. We're broadcasting live from the Montreal Wood Convention. Matt, Greg, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good for a Wednesday,
You know,
buddy. How are you?
You know, it would be better if I was there live with you, Ash.
Yeah, well,
But,
what happened to your flight?
you know, mistakes were made. You know, I mean,
What's
they
Montreal
wanted to
like
like
in
send me through Philadelphia and have me like, you know, on a plane all day, and I just said, you know what? No, I'm out.
Well,
Out.
I'll tell you a little
what's
bit.
Montreal like in May instead of February, buddy? Last time you and I were there
it's
together,
way,
we were walking
way
around the
better.
snow.
Short sleeve weather 2 days here, right?
Way better.
Matt, I walked around past some of the churches and showed Beamer and I were in these like 20 years ago. Everybody's like, why? When Matt was becoming a Catholic.
You got to admit, those are some beautiful churches over there, man.
I'm unbelievable up here. So, I always like to ask people where they think the market's going here and get feedback from everyone. And I shared a little bit with Greg. Everybody's pretty happy about the last 2 years, certainly, but they're confused about what's going forward. And from what I've seen and listened to some of the speakers this morning, were one thing they said, somebody announced something about some timber coming off in the Pacific Northwest. Have you heard anything about that, Matt? That was announced. All right, but overall, what I've kind of the feedback I've gotten of people, I almost told Greg I was a little bit uncomfortable with everybody being as bearish as they are on pricing, right? For a variety of reasons. Mills, wholesalers, retailers, distributors, all bearish on pricing. Like, yes, we know the price is going down, but we're going to have a big bounce back, right? That's what the consensus is. Still problems with logistics. I think everybody is still trying to navigate what's going to happen going forward. But the turnout, business, and we'll jump into new home sales, but the business, especially in the multifamily, still seems to be phenomenal in industrial. So that's kind of the feedback I've gotten here. But I wanted to jump in with you guys. For me being gone for the week, print came out down quite a bit. What are you all seeing in the cash market right now, and what's the consensus and the feeling out there?
From the mill perspective, so I got my Hampton Mill sales hat on right now. It's pretty below average right now. I mean, we're getting some bright spots. Like, we'll have one mill will have a big day, and then the next day another mill will have a big day, just because we kind of get our mind right and take some cheap offers. But it's what you call combat trading right now, hand-to-hand combat. We're having to wrestle orders out of everybody on cars. And I think one of the biggest problems on the car side for all sawmills is the rail situation, which we've talked about for a year now. It hasn't really improved. And so we're still dealing with late cars and just the railroads. Trucking is actually preferred now. Like, if you're a Northwest sawmill, you don't really want to sell more rail cars. You want to sell more trucks. So there's a lot of competition in the truck market in the Pacific Northwest. It's a big change. Normally, that's not where you want to sell all your lumber. You sell a little bit of lumber locally. Most of your car business is the bulk of your volume. But right now, we're trying to push as many trucks out as possible and avoid the car market. So that's a change. That's something that's happening for the sawmills. Business is just average at best, and then on some days it's below average. We're not really getting any above average days here the last 10 days. And then on the field inventory, as a wholesale trader / distributor, that business remains pretty liquid. There's a lot of people they're changing strategies from buying choo-choo trains of lumber to just filling in with some trucks, and they're shuffling their inventories around at their multiple yard locations. And there's some multifamily business that's coming in to cover at these prices now. That is good for the reload business. I don't think there's a lot of inventory in reloads. I don't feel like there's an abundance of secondary inventory out there. And so, I think you have a legitimate chance of negotiating a much better price on a quick truck than you would on a quick car. So that's how I see the market right now. To your comment about everybody thinking the same way, that makes me not feel good about the future, because when everybody thinks the same way, it usually goes the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to. I don't know if that's just the canned answer that everybody's giving me, but everybody to a person is saying, yeah, we see ourselves going a lot lower after we've sold off a pretty tremendous amount of money, right? Greg, what's your feedback on it?
He froze up with a frown on his face.
He must have froze. Let's see if we can get him back on frozen here.
I'm sure he's going to log back in here in a second, but so here, interesting. Like, you and I talking about ideas that we talk about our whole lives together.
Yeah.
So just going back to this thought that you had about everybody being on the same page. I will say this. if you just objectively look at the value of lumber on futures, it's down about 50%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've wrung out 50% of the market on the futures price. And, I mean, something's changing probably. I think we'll eventually run out of sellers when you drop half your value in such a short period of time. So there's
Greg,
something.
you're back. We Matt we kind of was talking about from a mill perspective and from a distribution perspective. I mean, you were telling me this morning how big of discounts you were buying under print on certain stuff in the East, right? I mean, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's a lot of people that are there in Montreal. But kind of what I can see is the market's trying to establish where there's value now. The only reason that the spruce market was as high as it was, and I think we talked about it, how overvalued it was compared to every other species, in particular southern pine. We've seen a big shift over the last 30, 60 days on multifamily business going almost exclusively to southern pine. And if you look at those spreads, you can see why you're hundreds of dollars below. But what little bit I see trading in the East today is trading at a substantial discount to already, the market was down $50 to $100+ midweek, and it's probably trading another $50 to $100 plus below that. And that still puts it at a pretty healthy premium to the futures market. We've had futures stabilized now for a few days, and I think that's kind of giving the cash market a chance to catch up with it. I'm wrestling with, does futures, and I think I put something out on LinkedIn over the weekend, was, can the market stabilize here somewhere in the low 600s, or does it need to wash out to the 400s? And you said is, everyone thinks the market's going down, but it's going to have a bounce. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do is pick bottoms and tops of the market. And right now, I mean, it's a falling knife. And, I've said for a long time to anyone that wanted to listen to me is that the market's not going to bottom out until one or both of these things happen. All the mills are caught up on shipping, and or futures is a premium to the cash market. So those really are the signals. If you want to look for the bottom of the market, those are the things to look for, in my opinion. Matt's got a great point, though. There's still plenty of business out there. There's still decent liquidity. Yeah, you need to be aggressive. And if you're not aggressive, then you're not gonna have an opportunity to write much business.
So what you're really saying is we're kind of back to the whole trading environment we've been in the first 30 years of our careers.
Exactly. except we're still at like double or triple the average price.
Right.
Well, there's also like two distinctly different markets occurring right now. And actually, you could probably make the case there's three distinctly different markets operating right now. You've got the mill rail car market and the mill truck market. That's its own separate thing, right? And then you've got the field inventory market. So Greg's inventory at a port or my inventory in a reload, that has another value. That's a different conversation, right? It's a completely different conversation. And then if you want to talk to some people about lumber that they want to buy in August or September, there's a whole nother conversation to be had there. So there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, we all know this. The price of lumber is down 40 to 50%. Okay. That's a fact. And transportation issues haven't gotten that much better. That's a fact. We also know that everybody's bleeding their inventory down to zero as fast as they possibly can. That's another fact. How it all turns out, we shall see. I'm not going to guess. I'll wait until it happens, then I'll react to it. And I think that's the best advice I can give to any of my customers or other people that are watching the show.
So let's talk a little about new home sales, Greg, that you had that came. Is it existing or new home sales?
No, new single-family home sales came out yesterday. We were down 16.6% from March, and we were 26.9% below April of 2021. If I looked at the graph, the chart, of the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, it's kind of like a choppy line. And then there's this big spike up starting in the summer of 2020, peaking the first part of last year. And we've been adjusting down really kind of since then. And so we're at 9 months of inventory. This number was the March number. I have a hard time believing that we're not going to see a pretty substantial further decline on the April and May numbers. And the good news about that is that, I mean, prices have continued to go up. We're still at like 16 or 17% year over year price gains. And, as this supply goes up, the prices are going to slow. And we may even see by the second half of the year some new home prices actually correcting, which will be good for the sales number.
Yeah, no doubt. Another thing I think you put out last week, which I always have a hard time understanding until I think about it a little bit, is homes under construction, right? And I think, or units, single family homes under construction, that's as big as that number's ever been, right?
Yes.
Or I should say,
the number of homes, the pipeline of homes under construction is great, which, I mean, hey, we've been talking about the disconnect between housing starts and completions for all year, for 6 months. That's going to rectify itself over the next 3 or 4 months. We'll see those numbers come together, and they're not going to come together because completions are going to all of a sudden be 1.6 or 1.7.
Yeah. So I've got some good feedback on when I walk around the show. It's amazing how many people listen to this show. Like during it, afterwards. So I'll give you there's a younger kid in the industry who showed up the other day. He goes, man, I really like what you're doing because nobody at my company gives me the same information that you guys basically give me. And it's really, and he goes, as a young person in a company, they kind of rely on it for some information sometimes. And what they then do is turn that into sales burgers to give to the people they're trying to sell, right?
All right, I need you to talk to my agent, Ashley.
You'll love this one.
Hey, Matt, our contract is coming up.
It's coming up for renewal. Yeah, I think we're overdue, actually.
I'm thinking 6 figures per episode, maybe.
Yeah, I'm negotiating.
I'm sorry, buddy. I had to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm negotiating with the quarterback from Tampa right now. So I'll see if I can work you guys into there. But you'll like this. Another mill manager came up and said, I don't like the information you put out because we don't want people to know all this information. It gives them too much transparency.
That's insane.
Oh my, what?
I'm sorry, I just don't see the world that way, man. We're talking about a commodity. This isn't some NASA rocket scientist here. This, we're not doing some KGB stuff. This is publicly traded commodity.
The crazy thing is that everybody is so much better. Even the mills are better. The more transparency that everyone in the market has, the better they can judge what's going on. We have the biggest problems in our industry is when participants try and, hide or obfuscate what is actually going on because it masks the underlying trend, which gives people the wrong signals about what to do. And then when the market moves against them, they're like, they're mad at somebody because it certainly wasn't their fault.
Well, then another guy said he watches it bringing his kids to soccer practice on YouTube in the car, right? So I think
what does this kid going to soccer practice think about?
Yeah, but it's really interesting. There's a lot of people watching the shows more than we think are. So somebody's
we
need to mind our P's and Q's, Matt.
Yeah, no kidding. I just want to go back to that comment about you had a mill guy say we're talking too much. I mean, come on, man. If you're in this business for 5 years, you're going to figure all this stuff out on your own. Or if you don't figure it out on your own, some veteran's going to help you figure it out. I mean, I learned things from you, Ashley. I learned things from Greg. You've learned things from me. I mean, that's what we do. We share information. If you're any good at this, you're gonna just pick this stuff up on your own anyhow, right? Besides that, Greg and I and you aren't long for this world. We're gonna be retired in 15 years, and somebody else is gonna have to take our place and figure this stuff out.
Yeah, the cool thing is everybody in our world now has access to more quick information on a basis, and we're kind of jumping into that stream of information. We're just doing it in lumber, which historically, somebody chalked it up. They go, the lumber industry seems like it's the 1970s grain industry, with the way they're adopting.
How did you figure out how to trade lumber in the early 2000s? Did you get some help from Ted Block, maybe?
By losing a lot of money.
Yeah,
and then Greg subsidizing that until I figured out how to make it.
But you also got some help along the way, right? I mean,
absolutely.
We owe it to the younger generations to figure this out. I mean,
Yeah.
what we're doing
guys.
isn't like
Sorry
super
about that.
period. The hardest part of trading lumber or viewing a commodity like this is trying to outthink the market, and you can't really do that. I mean, you can't outguess the market because the market will throw you curveballs your entire career. So anyways, just a side there. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So we're just wrapping the show up here. Like I said, I went and listened to a couple different speakers, and they made some good points. What this market has allowed, you're still going to see less consolidation in Western Canada, more consolidation in Eastern Canada, because there's still a lot of smaller mills up there, and that's the place where there's going to be consolidation. A lot of people that purchase mills that weren't tier one mills. Good comment. I think it was from Bart Bender today. He made a comment like some people were allowed to run less efficient mills with a buffer of good pricing, right? So there'll have to be considerations made when the price drops of, maybe there'll have to be downtime and some efficiencies put in. We've kept hearing people say if it drops below a certain level, there'll be production taken off. I mean, it's hard to see at these numbers, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
Hey, and listen, I mean, ultimately that's what's going to happen. I mean, the market's going to go down to the place where, we do lose a little bit of supply. And the one thing that I'm talking to people about right now is traditionally, between Memorial Day and 4th of July, we get a market bottom that rallies us into mid-July, late July during the traditional Eastern summer shutdowns. Hey, Billy G in the house.
Oh yeah. Hey Matt.
Yeah, Bill and I had some good
How's it
conversation. We
going?
were just talking about what's your sentiment from the industry, what you're feeling, just the local. What are you taking back as a couple different?
A lot of enthusiasm here. A lot of positive enthusiasm. Good crowd. Very happy to see everybody. People are happy to see each other. Everybody's going to go back with a positive mindset and get things done. Simple as that. Get through this. Period.
Excellent.
See, I need that was that's when life throws you something great. I needed Bill on that one. That was.
I mean,
and it is true.
What? He's the Brian Westbury of the lumber business, Ash.
Look at that smile. Look at that.
Huh?
Look at the man is just he's exuberant.
Of course.
No, but
Billy G's an inspiration to all of us because he is always able to look on the bright side of anything. I love that about you.
Matt brought up a good point of how did we learn how to trade and do things. I mean, that's a perfect example of how to learn how to trade when no matter what's going on in the market, you find and Greg, you're like this, Matt, you find to survive in this industry, you need to find the positive side of everything because we certainly know for years we've gone
Smile and dial, baby. Smile and dial.
Yeah.
Rely on your strength and go with it. Simple as that.
Our industry hasn't
Thanks,
exactly
Good to see
suffered
you
during
guys.
the pandemic.
All right, take care. But Ash, I was going to just finish up saying is this year, a lot of times you need to you need to buy in front of those summer shutdowns because obviously they're shut down. I think the one thing this year is because of the mill buildup in inventory, there's going to still be shipping full speed ahead during that time, so it's going to have less of an impact. That's my sense.
Yeah, I mean, look at talking to some of these eastern mills up here, especially ones that are a little bit farther back in the sticks, so to speak. One of them made a comment. yeah, I don't want to ship trucks right now because I can still get as much money for my cars, and I'm going to keep loading cars because I don't want to concentrate on chasing 4 trucks down and drivers and where it's at when I can just do 1 car, right? So if certain mills have cars, they don't want to do trucks.
Right.
But if they can get trucks, to your point, Matt, certainly that's what I heard in some of the mills in the East, especially. A lot of them are now bringing it down to the borders and trucking it down there where they have a local. So what somebody told me is basically Toronto in Canada is our equivalent of Texas for them up there. So we have to remember there's a pretty robust industry, and we don't think up in Canada where they're moving a lot of the Eastern Canadian spruce and products into there, right? And they can sell it at some type of a discount too because they don't have to pay the 15 or 20% coming across.
Well, and that's, you know, that's going to be interesting to see is there's been a carpenter strike in Toronto for the last 4 weeks that's supposed to, you know, potentially be rectified here in the short term. You know, like what effect that'll have on the market in the East is the only place it's going to affect it. And I guess those products that are heavily used in the Toronto market will be in demand.
Yeah, for sure. So here's a good question. Hey guys, always enjoy the content. Question: do you think you will see sub 600 lumber by July? By July or in July? I mean, so that number 600 gets thrown out a lot, and I think that is because that's the number that gets thrown out of the cost of production at Western BC mills. I mean, I would say cash has been trading at 800 now. Does that make sense? Where we're at in the 2x4 market? Matt, that's a market you live in more than I do. That Western BC market. What's the price of that out there?
I think it's going to touch 600. I don't know that it's going to go below it for any length of time in the short term, but in the long run, for sure, I do. So I don't know. I mean, if it happens in July, would it surprise me? No. Would it surprise me if it doesn't do that? No. But I think by September, October, if we haven't pierced the $600 level, then, you know, something happened to change the direction of the market. And I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe it would be forest fires. Maybe it would be curtailments. Maybe it would be a massive surge in demand or a massive loss of production. But I think we're on the road to sub 600. I just don't know that it'll happen by July.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of it could happen in June.
I mean, it could happen next week, really, for all we know. But I'm doubting that. I do feel like it's going to take a little longer. That's all.
So what's front month trading at right now? CME
650.
650. So futures is getting. I think that 600 number has been thrown out so much that it's almost psychologically, Matt, where I think if you're going to have a bounce, that's where people would, right?
Right.
Well, it's one of two things is going to happen, Ash. Either it's going to bottom in front of that, which, like right now, we're kind of moving sideways for a few days here. We made a reversal. We made a reversal yesterday or the day before. I forget which one it was. We made a reversal. We had a key reversal yesterday in that we closed higher. We made a new contract low and closed higher. You know, technically that's pretty good. The lack of follow through today makes it a little suspect. But I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if July was able to rally up into the mid 700s and cash were to drop to the low 700s, maybe even the 600s. But that would set up the scenario in my mind that, you know, you could put a decent trading bottom in.
All right.
Very cool. Well, listen, guys, I got to go do my COVID test so I can catch a plane here. So
yeah, I hope that wasn't a super spreader event up there, Ash. I mean, I'm not, and I'm not even concerned about COVID anymore. It's just monkeypox. That's scary.
Hey, if you've got the smallpox vaccine scar on your right shoulder, you're probably fine, Greg. Don't worry about it.
I mean,
well, good.
And apparently, I don't practice any of the things that they say are prime conduits for it.
Well, I think that one's overblown. Let's just move on.
Well, right on, guys. Well, look at so. I mean, I told you a few people that I got feedback that see us all the time, and
that's awesome.
So,
yeah. Hey,
if you get something out of this, I would like you to come to mxlumber.com. You can see we're displaying here, had great feedback, signed up a bunch of mills and people to get demoed and be on the platform. So, we survive off people do transactions on our platform. We give you this content. And Matt and Greg help me because they're good guys and we help each other. And
Absolutely.
we help the industry in the meantime. So somebody just asked the question here too, real quick, so we'll check it out. Does the upcoming hurricane season play a role in the future pricing, or is it a wait and see fluctuation? I would say, Greg, you're always one that said natural events in the short term never affect lumber pricing?
Hurricanes and forest fires, they only matter when they matter. You can't base your trading and your positioning based on those. That's for sure. There's just as many times where you've had a hurricane and the market's gone down as you've had a hurricane and the market's gone up. And the same thing with forest fires. Forest fires, more than anything, it's more the anticipation of forest fires are what cause things. But the actuality, I think I can only think of that one time, what it was a few years ago, where the forest fires really had an outsized impact. Most of the rest of the time, they don't.
So the only thing that I watch when a hurricane comes is the guy on the Weather Channel in that red jacket hanging onto a stop sign sideways while he's trying to get some airtime. I think that's always enjoyable to watch, right?
Hey, safe travels back, Ash. We'll see you.